And he himself gave some to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers, for the equipping of the saints for the work of ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God.
And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write,
And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, He who is holy, who is true, who has the key of David, who opens and no one will shut, and shuts and no one opens, says this. So we've gone here through these letters to the churches. We've seen that he introduces himself to each church in those qualities that are significant, particularly for the circumstances in that church. So we kind of watch that. It's talking about he who has the key of David. David, in the context of these future things, was the one who was promised that he would never lack a king to sit on his throne. And of course, we know that Jesus Christ fulfills that forever and ever. And Christ introduces himself here as the one who has the key of David. So we're naturally going to anticipate some things concerning the kingdom age in that introduction. He opens and no one will shut, and he shuts and no one opens. That's the authority to let people in or keep people out. And in this context, again, first thing we're going to think about is the kingdom. He can admit people to the kingdom, and he can exclude them from the kingdom. That's the way he's going to use the key of David. I know your deeds. And he just says, I know your deeds. And then it seems like it changes subject. I know your deeds. Behold, I have put before you an open door which no one can shut, because you have a little power and have kept my word and have not denied my name. So there's this little phrase in here, behold, I have put before you an open door, which no one can shut, because, and then it tells what their deeds are. Their deeds are, they have a little power, they've kept his word, and they have not denied his name. So there's a reason why he interrupted the flow of thought from I know your deeds to listing those deeds with this, behold, I have put before you an open door which no one can shut. So we'll want to look at that in that context. Why would he interrupt the flow to say, I've put before you an open door which no one can shut? Behold, I will cause those of the synagogue of Satan, and we've seen the synagogue of Satan before, who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. These are apparently biologically Jewish people who are not the true Israel. They don't have the faith, but they are Jews, and they're called the synagogue of Satan. They say they're Jews and are not. So you understand when I say they're Jews, and it says here they're not Jews. I'm not trying to contradict this. I'm just saying that the characteristic of this group is that they are biologically from Abraham, but they are not of the faith of Abraham. So here they're not Jews because they're not really true Israel. I will make them come and bow down at your feet and make them know that I have loved you. So God is going to do something really significant. He's going to make these people, some of them, from the synagogue of Satan, come and bow down at the feet of the Christians. That's really quite remarkable, because usually we're used to, you can only bow down to God and don't bow down to anyone else. And this is different than that. I will make them come and bow down at your feet and make them know that I have loved you. So here are some folks from the synagogue of Satan And their shtick is probably that they deny that any Gentile should have any part in the kingdom. And God is going to show these people that these Gentiles, formerly Gentiles, indeed have a place in the kingdom, and that He, Jesus Christ, loves them. Because you have kept the word of my perseverance. That word of my perseverance is a way of saying there's been some hard times and you've hung in there and you've been faithful to me. You haven't caved in. And that's the word of my perseverance. I also will keep you from the hour of testing. That hour which is about to come upon the whole world to test those who dwell on the earth. So we're going to want to know about keep you from the hour. What does that mean? Hour of testing, what does that mean? And it's an hour which is about to come on the whole world. Now, God's framework for time, when He says this is about to happen, it might not happen for 2,000 years. And so we have to keep that in mind. It's about to come upon the whole world to test those who dwell on the earth. I am coming quickly. And you tie that to you've kept the word of my perseverance. I will also keep you from the hour. I'm going to come quickly. So He's going to keep them from the hour, and He's going to come quickly to do it so they have confidence. Hold fast what you have so that no one will take your crown. I think we're going to see that this crown is a crown of victory. They have been living victorious. They have persevered under persecution. They haven't caved in. And they're going to get a victory wreath for that. And don't let anybody take it away. I'm coming quickly. Hold on fast so no one will take your crown. He who overcomes, and we've seen all the way through these letters to the churches, that's always talking about the saints, those who are born again. He who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. And it's interesting to think of the temple of my God, because later on we're going to read there's New Jerusalem and there's no temple there. And here He's going to make these people a pillar in the temple. Well, the whole city is the temple. It's the place where God lives. He's going to be there with mankind, saints, in the city. And so the temple is metaphoric. It's symbolic. It's the whole city, the temple. There is no temple there, and yet it is the temple. And the same thing can be true of the pillar. It's a symbol, like the temple is a symbol of God, the temple of my God. He will not go out from it anymore. This person who has made a pillar is not going to go out anymore. He's there, and He's there to stay. He's solid. He's got a place. It's permanent. Going to make him a pillar. He'll not go out from it anymore. And I'll write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and my new name. So Christ is going to write on this person who overcomes, the Christian, the saint. He's going to make him a pillar in the temple. He won't go out anymore, and I'm going to write on him the name of my God, the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and my new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. So this message is for the whole church in general. He who has an ear, let him hear. And so it's a circumstance that prevailed in Philadelphia at that time, but it illustrates things that are going to be happening in different churches, different parts of the world, different ages. And insofar as our circumstance matches up with what he's talking about, it's written to us for our comfort and for our instruction. Okay, let's think about Philadelphia. 25 miles southeast of Sardis. So we're continuing around this circle from church to church. Connect the dots. We've gone around. We're coming back down again. And we were going north when we started out. We're going south now. So it's 25 miles southeast inland from Sardis. It was a place of a lot of earthquakes, kind of a California. And the earthquakes had destroyed the city of Philadelphia several times. I guess they never got into the engineering of it, huh? They didn't figure out how to make the building survive. And it had most recently been destroyed in 37 AD. So at the time of the writing of the book of Revelation, we're probably looking at 90-something AD. So it's been a little while. But, you know, that's not all that long from the time it was completely destroyed. Certainly would be fresh in their memory. Volcanoes in the area contributed ash to the soil, and so they had very fertile soil, and they grew good crops in that area. The city was built and named after a king of Pergamum, Attalus Philadelphus. So he built it and he gave it his own name. That's why it was named Philadelphia. So it was named for him. It wasn't named as the city of brotherly love, though the words do in fact come out to mean brotherly love. And it was located in a valley which formed the best path for ascending from west to east, from the Hermus Valley on the west at an elevation of 500 feet to the Central Plateau at an elevation of 1,500 feet. So it ascended this valley. You go up this valley and you go up 1,000 feet, and it was the very best path for making that ascent from anywhere along there. So trade and communication from the harbor at Smyrna and from Lydia to Phrygia went east through this valley. It was the path of the imperial postal road. They had a postal service in Rome. That postal service used this road during the first century. It later became the greatest trade route in the territory. The name Philadelphia, the word Philadelphia, occurs 7 times in the Bible. The other 6 times it refers to brotherly love. This is the only time it appears as the name of a city. And that city is there now. It's called Keyre. You don't know how to pronounce it, so that's what it is. I don't know either. Alaschir. Alaschir. That's what they call it now. And at least into the 20th century, there was a continual Christian testimony in Philadelphia. All through the centuries, it may still have now. The most recent record I had was back in the 20th century. So, he who is holy, who is true, and has the key of David, and who opens and no one will shut, and who shuts and no one opens. Holy and true, he's qualified to judge, and he's going to make judgments. As holy, he is set apart unto the Father. As true, he is reality, and he is in contrast to these liars. Who are the liars? Synagogue of Satan. That's right. But he is true. Having the key of David. David was promised to have descendants on his throne forever. Key of David must refer to authority over his throne and kingdom. So Jesus Christ, as we know very well from elsewhere, has that authority, and it's represented here as having the key of David. When he opens or shut, no one reverses it. Isaiah 22:22 is reminiscent. Maybe this was taken from there. Then I will set the key of the house of David on his shoulder. When he opens, no one will shut, and when he shuts, no one will open. Sounds a lot like our text, doesn't it? It's written by Isaiah about Eliakim, not about Christ. but it still sounds like maybe it was used. Scripture is sometimes used two different ways. So Jesus has ultimate authority to invite in or to exclude from the kingdom. No one enters without his authorization. And so the thing we have here told to the city of Philadelphia, I'm the one that has the authority. If you want to get in, you got to have authority from me. I have to authorize it. No one goes in without my authority. And then this person says, I know your deeds. And that's just a simple statement, not much to comment on. I know your deeds, except that we've already said that there's a different subject here briefly, and then what those deeds are. Behold, I have put before you an open door which no one can shut, because you have a little power, and have kept my word, and have not denied my name. So what is this open door? Jesus says he set before them an open door, and there are three views on that. One view says it refers back to John chapter 10, I'm the door of the sheep, and so forth. It's awkward because it makes Jesus say that he sets Jesus before them. Jesus is the door of the sheep. So we're not too enamored of that view. Second view sees this as an expanded missionary opportunities. I've given you an open door for the preaching of the gospel, and that's a very popular view, very widely held. It is worth noting, however, that a missionary outreach is a strange reason to interrupt his statement about his knowledge of their deeds. Why would he be talking about, I know your works, and then he's going to tell what those deeds are? And why would he interrupt that for a missionary challenge? I'm giving you an open door. Doesn't seem to flow. This position fits better for an encouragement in the face of persecution. Their deeds are that they've stood firm for the Lord. He knows their deeds, and encouragement here would be a pretty good thing to insert in. And the word behold is a key. Verse 9 is parallel, and it introduces encouragement. The behold is followed by a word of encouragement. There's another word, behold, that's not translated in our text. It's his promise to make them bow down. Those of the synagogue of Satan will come and bow down before you. That starts out with the same Greek term, behold, but it's just simply not translated in our translations. It's helpful to know it's there, though, because it forms a pattern. We have a behold and a word of encouragement. We have a second word, behold, and a second word of encouragement. And then we have another word, behold. No, just the three. So the one here that we're looking at, behold, I put before you an open door, and then the parallel in verse 9, and another one in verse 9 that's not translated. All of them speaking of encouragement, apparently, unless this first one is not, and we think it is. Me and some of the books I read, so the behold pattern is behold and encouragement, behold and encouragement. This first one ought to be the same as the other two, behold and encouragement. There's another factor that speaks against this idea that the open door is missionary opportunities. Christ has not spoken to any of the 7 churches about missionary opportunities. He's not spoken to them about outreach. He's not spoken to them about preaching the gospel. He hasn't spoken yea or nay. He hasn't spoken, hey, you're doing good at preaching the gospel. He hasn't said you're doing lousy at preaching the gospel. He has not introduced that subject to any of the other churches. If that's what it is here, It's unique in the messages to all of the churches. The view that seems best to me is that this door is an entrance into the kingdom. He just got through saying, I've got the keys of David, and I open and I close. Well, open and close what? Something related to David. What would be related to David? The kingdom. And so here, he says, I'm going to open. I have put before you an open door which no one can shut, because you have a little power and have kept my word and have not denied my name. Why would they deny his name? Because somebody's putting the pressure on them. Probably the synagogue of Satan. Because they don't like it that they are proclaiming and adhering to the name of Jesus Christ instead of going back to David and Abraham and all the Old Testament Judaism ideas. And so they'd be pressuring them to deny the name of Christ and come back to the fold, come back, kind of like the book of Hebrews and the folks that were addressed there as tempted to go back. So the Jews would object to Gentiles being admitted. After all, their idea for all these centuries has been, this kingdom is going to be our kingdom. This is not for the Gentiles, this is for us. And to have the church come along and say, all these people who aren't Jews are going to be in the kingdom, that's a pretty tough pill to swallow. David's name was just used in verse 7 in connection with the authority to enter the kingdom. The word open is a form of the word used twice in verse 7 in connection with the key of the kingdom. Does that make sense to you? The word open, I put before you an open door. Same word was used in verse 7, twice. Open, and it all related to the kingdom, to David there. So open here probably refers to the same thing as it referred to there. It's just the next verse. The one who has the power to open and close the kingdom speaks in the immediate context of giving an open door to the saints in Philadelphia. The natural conclusion, he's talking about an open door to the kingdom. Would that be an encouragement? You got an open door to the kingdom. You have been standing fast. You have not denied my name. I'm going to see to it that you have an open door that nobody can shut. The synagogue of Satan is not going to be able to shut you out. You've got a free pass. So the statement that Christ knows their works, keeping his word and not denying his name, is properly interrupted by a statement that he gives them an open door into the kingdom. He's encouraging them to stand fast, and he's going to continue with that encouragement. Their power in keeping his word are the deeds above. They have a little power. A little power. And you wonder, okay, what are we talking about when we're talking about a little power? Are we talking about small numbers? Are they such a small congregation there? Or do they have limited influence? Or is it maybe a matter of spiritual vitality? You have a little power. You're not very spiritually strong. You need to buck up and get stronger there. But this is something for which they are praised. He says, I know your works, and these works are good works, and we don't expect that to be poor spiritual vitality. So we don't think that that little power is just a little bit of spiritual vitality. They have kept his word despite the limited influence that they have. They are obeying and standing fast. They've not denied Jesus' name. Keeping and not denying are aorist tense. Need to back up here and verse. You have a little power and have kept my word, aorist tense, and have not denied, aorist tense. What does that mean? That means it's a spot action. There was a very definite period of time when they kept his word. Some challenge came along and they said, we're going to stand on the word of Jesus Christ. We're not going to move from there. They've kept his word. Aorist, it wasn't a continuous thing. He's not saying they weren't continually doing it. It's saying that this statement is about a specific event. The same thing is true about not denied my name. There was some time, probably, when they were really put up against it, and it was deny his name or else. That's kind of what ISIS is doing over there. And again, it's an aorist tense, and they stood, when that event came along, they stood firm. That's a pretty good instruction for us. It used to be we didn't think that it would ever come to that in the United States, but I won't be surprised if it does come to that in the United States. And it'll be up to us to see if we're as strong as the Church of Philadelphia. Are we going to keep his name no matter what they threaten? I trust we shall. I'm trusting in his strength, not in my own strength, certainly, but in his strength. So, Christ knows their works. They've been keeping his word, not denying his name, and he interrupts in between knowing their works and what those works are to say that he gives them an open door to the kingdom. You are in. You've done the right things. You're going to be solid. Verse 9, behold, I will cause those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. I will make them come and bow down at your feet and make them know that I have loved you. Jesus is going to do a fantastic thing. He's going to cause them, it says. Now, that word cause is kind of a question mark. The Greek word is didomi. I know you don't speak Greek, but it is a helpful word because it's found 415 times in the New Testament. Anytime a word's used that many, you probably get an idea what it means. Didomi is translated some form of to give. 369 times out of 415 total. That means most of the time, this word, which has been translated, I will cause those of the synagogue of Satan, most of the time, that word elsewhere is translated, I will give. And Dr. Robert Thomas has translated this, I am giving some is supplied, it's not in the text. I am giving of the synagogue of Satan. I am giving some of the synagogue of Satan who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. I will make them come and bow down at your feet. I am giving. Does that make sense? It does. Because he is giving some of the synagogue of Satan to the church in Philadelphia. Some of these people who are now in the synagogue of Satan are going to come to personal faith in Jesus Christ and become part of the church. And it's going to be quite an adjustment for them. Major change when they say, you know, we've been so opposed to this and sure it was absolutely wrong, and then they realize this is right. These are the people of God. Jesus Christ says, I'm going to give some of them to come and bow down before you. Can Christ give people like that? Absolutely he can. Sure he can. Because he's the one who calls. We talked about that this morning. Didn't we just talk about that just this morning? He's the one who calls. He's the one who justifies. And he's got some of these folks picked out as elect. Right now they're in the synagogue of Satan. But Jesus Christ is going to give some of these people, not the whole crowd, but some of them, he's going to give to the church in Philadelphia. I think that's fantastic. That's wonderful. He's going to do that. We've talked already about what we think about the synagogue of Satan. And he says, I will make them come and bow down at your feet. Now the word behold is repeated here. I talked about that when we were just kind of reading through it in the text. Behold is repeated here. Behold, I will make them come and bow down at your feet. That's a gift to the church. That's an encouragement to the church. These people have been fighting, and some of them are going to come and bow down at your feet. It's important as signifying another promise. First, behold, I will put before you an open door. Second, behold, I am giving. Third, behold, I will make them. They will go to the church and honor them. Bow down is worship. It's used rather a lot of times, and it's just about always worship. I will bow down. So we kind of struggle with that, don't we? Because you don't bow down. John ended up bowing down to an angel, and this angel says, no, I'm your fellow servant. Don't bow down to me. Bow to God. And the law was very specific. You don't bow down. But there is such a thing as giving honor to people. Give honor to whom honor is due. You have to be careful what's in your heart. What's your intention? And I think when Mordecai would not bow down in the book of Esther, it was, I don't think he was concerned about worship. I think he was saying, I'm not going to give any credit to this rascal. I'm not going to honor him. He doesn't deserve honor. But at your feet, I'm going to make some come and bow down at your feet. And the word your is singular. You expect plural here. You're looking at this congregation of Philadelphia, and these folks from the synagogue of Satan are going to come and bow down at your feet, and you're thinking, all these people. But it's not all these people. It is singular. Therefore, your refers to what? The church. It's the church. He's going to cause them to come and bow down at the feet of the church. This is submission to the fact that this is the church of Jesus Christ. This is the real deal. We thought it was an imposter, but now we found out that it's the real thing. In being saved before the millennium, they come to realize how wrong they have been. They bow down at the feet of the church to worship God. Their transformation acknowledges God has been working in the church all along. But we need to consider a prophecy in this connection. And the prophecy is found in Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 14. It'll give us pause to think. Isaiah 60:14 says, talking to the Jews, Israel, the sons of those who afflicted you will come bowing down to you. So Isaiah, by the word of God that God's given to him, is saying that some of those that have been afflicting the Jews are going to come and bow down before the Jews. And this is just the opposite of what we are being told here at the Church of Philadelphia. The Jews are going to come and bow down at the feet of the church. So what do we got going on there? Well, in Isaiah 60, the kingdom is in full swing. To get to this point, the Jews had to have already acknowledged Jesus Christ. At the point at which they acknowledged Jesus Christ, they came to bow down. They were submissive to the church. But now they're in the kingdom, and in the full swing of the kingdom, the Gentiles are coming and bowing down to them. So it goes both directions at different times. Christ commends them for keeping the word of his perseverance. This could be the perseverance Christ requires, or it could be the perseverance that Christ displays. Objective versus subjective genitive. It's a genitive, but which kind? It's used both ways. And here, We have several parallel passages that use this form for perseverance which Christ displayed, and we think it's the same here also. These Christians have learned from the way Christ persevered, the way he faced opposition. They saw that. They said, we're gonna stand the same way. He taught us. He was our model. We follow after him. And that takes us to a challenging passage where we're going to have some disagreement. Because you have kept the word of my perseverance, I also will keep you from the hour of testing. Does that mean I'm going to keep you as you go through it? Or does it mean I'm going to keep you out of the hour of testing? And it's 7:02, and I'm on vacation.